With that welcoming sound, I am pleased to start the April 24th, 2025 meeting of the Fitchburg Zoning Board. Welcome, everyone. I now call this meeting to order. Please be advised that FATV is conducting an audio and video recording of this meeting for public broadcast. I ask that if anybody in the audience is recording this meeting, please identify themselves for the record now by standing and stating your name and city of residence. As usual, we see none because Fitchburg FATV does all of that for us now. I am going to ask that everyone, including myself, check your electronic devices, make sure you are placed in the silent mode so that we can all enjoy each other's company without interruption. I would now like to ask Mr. Reynolds if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Mr. Reynolds.
What a guy.
I wanted to make one announcement before we started the agenda this evening. There is an item listed at 8 p.m. for 1341 Rindge Road, CBA 2023-08, Joanne Hamburg. I did receive a communication yesterday from Ms. Hamburg informing me that she would not be attending the meeting this evening. As I know, there are generally a number of people who appear and make comment on that issue. We will still call the matter. We will still hear any public comment on that matter, but we do not have the property owner here tonight, and I just wanted to let everybody know that at the beginning. We're going to call the first case on the matter, which is ZBA 25-3, Mr. Todd Anderson. This is for 208 Bemis Road. This is a continuation because we did need to open and continue a few matters at the last meeting of a special permit under Section 181.333 of the City of Fitchburg Code to alter a pre-existing non-conforming 6x6 freestanding sign by installing a 35-inch by 63-inch LED message center into the pre-existing non-conforming sign frame, constructed less than 10 feet from the side property line, which may flash, rotate, make noise, move, or give the illusion of moving as prohibited by Section 181.5362, the special permit being considered under Section 181.94, located in the Neighborhood Business District. Welcome to the meeting.
Thank you very much.
Can you please, for the minutes, state your name and city of residence?
Todd Anderson. I'm from Rutland, Massachusetts.
Okay, thank you. And this is your application?
Yes.
And who do you have with you here today?
Tim.
I'm Tim Grotsky, the owner of Add-A-Sign in Leominster.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
So, Mr. Anderson, why don't we open by having you tell us a little bit about your project?
Well, he put it in probably 15, 20 years ago. All we're doing is what we'd like to do is change out just a portion of the sign to have a screen so I can put up events and things like that. It's not, I don't want it to flash or scroll or anything like that. I need people to be able to read the information on the sign. So it's going to be on there for, I mean, if we're having an open house or something like that, it's probably just going to be on there until the open house happens. So it's not, I don't need anything flashing or anything like that. But it's, right now, if we have an event, I have to put out a banner by the side of the road to let people know, and I'd prefer to just be able to put it on the sign.
Okay. So I just want to be clear, your sign is pre-existing non-conforming because it is close to the side yard setback. And I believe you have a strip of, an access strip to a main portion of the land in the back of the parcel, right?
That's always been unclear. As far as the driveway goes, as far as I know, as far as I was told, we own it. I've been there 21 years, so it's never, I'm not 100% sure, because if you look at different maps.
Then let me ask it this way.
Okay.
Your property is set out so that there is a driveway
Yep.
from Bemis Road, and your main area of use is a parcel in the rear behind other...
Correct, yes.
Okay,
And this actually sets essentially in the driveway.
right.
Yep.
So it's in the driveway, closer to the road, but the issue is that it's close to the side property line right there.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Our ordinance allows a special permit for modification of a pre-existing non-conforming structure. And I think from the description, you're not changing this, are you changing the size of the sign?
It's literally just an insert.
And it's going to be obviously, because of that, in the same location?
Yes.
Okay. So then what I want to understand, because this came to us as an issue about the sign being rotating or flashing, are you able to give us a demonstration of what it would look like visually?
Yeah, there's a bunch of these.
Actually, I do have a video.
And I don't mean, I think you have still photos.
Right, but St. Bernard's High School, St. Bernard's Activity Center, the car wash on John Fitch, they're all the same type of sign. They don't make any noise. They don't move. The bylaw was written for, rotating. In the old days you had signs that rotated, so they wrote a lot, no rotating. Well, it doesn't rotate. It doesn't physically move. It doesn't make sound. But you can scroll, and that's what they call the appearance of motion. But he doesn't even want to do that. Just static images, 15, 20 seconds, and then it changes to another.
Okay. So I'm just going to read through the descriptors of prohibited signs that it's been presented to us as needing relief from. Does it flash? And it's not going to rotate.
No.
It's not going to make noise.
Nope.
It's not going to actually move.
No.
I do have a video.
I would love to see a video.
It was the sample they brought down.
Is this something that's uploaded to the OpenGov?
So that's all it would be.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's just
I guess you can think of it like a TV. Your TV doesn't move,
Like a TV.
doesn't make sound, but it looks like it's moving.
More of a message board.
So the video that was just shown was a static placard. And I just want to remind the board and the applicant and everybody that we cannot regulate based on the words in your sign.
Absolutely.
That would be a violation of your right to free speech. So I'm not concerned about what the words say at all. So the picture you just showed was a static placard saying, I believe it was Happy Holidays.
In that case, yeah.
And it wasn't moving around. It was just displayed as a static image on the sign.
Yep.
Okay. Are you saying that there would be video images of I don't know, let's say somebody taking a car ride or a RC car moving around where there's motion within a video?
No.
For me, this is for just event announcements and, letting people know that we play with toy cars.
Okay. I am going to go to public comment and then board question. And then I'm going to need to go through the special permit criteria with you.
Sure.
And if you can humor me by making an answer to each of our criteria, I would
Would you
appreciate it.
like me over here?
Okay. So, is there anybody present in the audience who would like to make a comment or ask a question about this matter? Please raise your hand. All right. Mayor Squalia, welcome to the meeting. You're welcome to come to the podium.
I just want to say, great business. Would love to support them. Would love to see, them to have more signage, alerting people to their business, which is set back from Bemis Road, which is a very busy, commercial corridor into the city. So moving, having the still images like that makes perfect sense to me, and for the opportunity to be able to advertise their business to those people that might not be aware that they are back there. Great community business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I am going to check online. If I can get there. If anyone is present online and would like to make a comment or ask a question, please raise your hand. I see none. Is there anyone else present who would like to ask a question or make a comment on this matter? Ma'am, you're welcome. I believe we saw you at the last meeting, right? Yep. So thank you for coming. And if you don't mind, please state your name and city of residence again for the minutes.
My name's Diane Tusignat. I live on Bemis Road. And as I said at the first meeting that I came to, the new sign, as well as the old sign, are not even visible from where I live.
Okay.
But there are a lot of other lights in the neighborhood that are always on. All-night lights. So I'm glad to hear that the sign is not going to be rotating, scrolling, showing pictures of the cars moving around, which in my opinion is a distraction.
Yep.
The one question that I did have was, and I think that you tried to explain that about what was it that made your first sign, was that non-conforming, the first sign was non-conforming? And now they want to add another, they need a permit to add the pre-existing non-conforming sign. What made that placement non-conforming in the first place?
It was closer to the side boundary lot line than is allowed under our current zoning ordinance.
The side meaning the road, or the side meaning the fence and the property next to it?
So if I'm looking straight on from the road, you have the road frontage, and then on the left, you have a boundary lot line, and it is too close to that boundary lot line. It is set back from the road a sufficient amount, but in either case, it has been there for more than 10 years, and therefore it has grandfathered status, pre-existing non-conforming status.
Okay.
All right.
We're not changing, we're just putting it inside the frame that's already there, so we're not making it bigger or anything like that.
Okay. So it's going from a 6-foot by 6-foot size to a 3-foot by 5-foot. That's going to be the size that...
No,
No,
it's the same
it's-
size. Yeah.
It's the same size.
Yeah, so this is what the size of the sign is right now, and we're just going to basically put this message board right here.
I'm going to put it inside the existing sign.
So I did...
That's the current sign there.
Exactly.
Yep.
I know the sign. I did go around in the neighborhood, and I just let people know who I was and that I was not in favor of putting up a new, potentially brighter, more illumination in the neighborhood, with the slogan, "Preserve the Neighborhood," because it is, after all, a neighborhood. There are a lot of businesses on Bemis Road, but for me, primarily, it's my neighborhood.
Yep.
Now, I had written a lot of things about light pollution, but that,
So believe it or not, this sign's actually, at night, going to be dimmer than the existing sign.
Right.
is that a fact?
Yep.
And it's all programmable.
So during the day, they're 7,000 nits bright when the sun is on them. At night, depending on the ambient light, they can go down to 10 candle power, like barely. So it'll not be as bright as the sign above or any of the other signs, because those don't dim.
Well, that's good.
This is designed to dim down, so it doesn't distract and all that.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I think there are already a lot of distractions on Bemis Road.
Yeah, the
Busy
cars.
road. People come under that bridge at a great speed, and they don't.
Imagine how many cars a day now.
So I like that this is a conversation,
I'm sorry.
but in general, please address all the comments to or through me.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, I don't know, I kind of feel like I got the wind taken out of my sails with the explanation of what the sign was, and, hold on just one second. Would you say, well, this is not going to be, what I'm hearing is that it may be, in some ways, better than the pre-existing sign because the lights are going to be dimmed?
Yes.
Yeah, but they will be on all night.
No,
They will not be on all night.
I don't want to pay for it all night.
Okay.
The signs are programmable to turn on or off however you want. So you can say shut off at 9, turn off at 5 a.m., but usually you don't run them 24 hours a day.
Ma'am, did you have another quality on which you wanted to comment?
I just don't want anything that's going to be detrimental to the neighborhood. And
Okay.
that's,
Thank you very much. I very much appreciate your coming and participating in local government. Is there any other person here who would like to make a comment? Ma'am, you're welcome. Please come to the podium, state your name and city of residence, and you're welcome to speak.
Hi, I'm Karen Whitmire. I own Maplewood Valley Apartments across the street from where the sign is. And I'm all for making our businesses visible. My concern is if this is approved, the sign has capabilities that he's saying that they're not going to use. Would in the approval, would it show restrictions to prevent the other things from being used?
So we'll have to have a discussion and take a vote on it. But what I would say would be possible if the board were inclined to approve it, but wanted to ensure that any of those flashing, rotating, et cetera, items were not allowed, that would be set forth as a condition of the special permit. If a permit holder violates a condition of the special permit, they're subject either to fining, suspension, or revocation of the special permit.
Okay. I am also concerned about the distractions from the road. Of course, I have housing across the street. The road is so busy and crazy. People can't get in and out of our streets to get into the buildings. And I understand that must be your problem as well.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to take a
Except
left.
you people don't sleep. So I was very happy to hear that the photo dims in the evening. And those are things that personally, if the board decided to approve it, I would like to hear that those restrictions were in place.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and for your comment, ma'am. Appreciate it. Is there any other person? Sir, you're welcome to speak. Please state your
Good
name.
evening, and
city
thank you. My
residence.
name's Tom Donnelly. I just want to let you know that my son is the direct abutter that owns the little brick house next door, so the sign abuts his property. And as Mrs. Tousignan said, there were some questions that were answered this evening, I believe, and my son has no objections to them. And personally, I think it's a good thing, especially downsizing the illumination and everything. So, and I know he's run a very successful business back there. It was sometime, he said 21 years ago, but I remember being on the zoning board when he came in and applied to be able to put the business back there. So I wish him good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Is there any other person who would like to make a comment or ask a question on this matter? All right. Seeing none, I am going to move on to see if we have any city comments on this matter. Okay. Mr. Commissioner, as you are with us, did you have any comments on this case?
No, it sounds like the applicant is trying to be as respectful as possible for the community. The reason why I issued this again was because the potential is there. So if the board chooses to make conditions like was presented, then that's up to the board. But that's what it sounds like the outcome of the neighborhood is. There doesn't seem to be any opposition at all, but it's because of the potential there that I had to write it up this way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I'm now going to go to board members. Mr. Reynolds, any questions or comments?
Thank you. The, generally speaking, life expectancy of this sign you're going to put in is
10 years.
10 years. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Byrne?
What are your hours of operations?
12 to 6 Monday to Wednesday, 12 to 8 Thursday, Friday, and 10 to 5 on the weekends.
So seeing that you close at 6 and 8, how late is this sign going to be turned on?
Probably be 9 o'clock.
So it'll be turned off at 9 o'clock every evening?
Yeah, it's programmable, so I can,
Okay,
I can do that, yeah.
I just want to put down the time, seeing that everybody's worried about lighting in the neighborhood. I just want to make sure that it's turned off at 9 o'clock. I'll probably have that in the conditions.
Yeah, I don't see it as a problem. I mean, generally traffic
Another
slows down.
conditions that we're worried about is the word changing. How fast do the words change?
I want people to be able to read it, so I have no intention on flashing anything. I just want, because it's an information board to be able to show people about upcoming events, or that we do birthday parties, or, you know, because we have open houses and races and crawling events, things like that.
It's typically...
So it's not going to be scrolling?
No.
It's just going to be a standard happy
No, I mean,
birthday, dear
cars
John.
are driving by. I want as little information on a sign as possible so they can read it while they're driving by.
It's usually a 3 to 5 second hold is what
But
you
it's
have.
going to be minutes
5
for me.
seconds.
I'm not, I want to just put one thing up at a time.
Okay, I think that's all, Madam Chair. Language.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Talbot, any questions or comments?
Is the setup going to be like in the picture, like the bottom half message board, the top half logo?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gallagher?
None at this time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam. Could I see a picture of the proposed sign, please? So approximately 50% of the sign will become new? And the top half will kind of remain as the existing design?
Essentially, yeah. We just have to freshen it up because the other one
Okay.
wouldn't, just cut it back.
And how often, you're going to have a static display, but how often will that static display change? I mean, is it going to remain for hours?
It could very well. So I don't, generally when we have events, I want to just announce that weekend event.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I have a question for the commissioner.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. Commissioner, based on what we've heard today, if the sign is going to be completely static, does this request need to be before us?
I would say it still does, because the potential is there if the business changes hands or such. If we allow it without conditions and it's a digital sign, the potential is still very much there that the next owner might have it. So, and then it becomes a violation and an enforcement issue, versus if the board chooses to grant him this special permit and put the conditions on, then that's part of the chain of title as well. And it's very clear. It makes it cleaner and makes future enforcement easier as well.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
I don't have any other questions.
All right. Mr. Anderson, I am going to go through the special permit criteria with you, which is what we have to review in order to grant or refuse a special permit, and you can tell me what your response is to each of the criteria.
Sure.
Okay? So what are the social, economic, or community needs which are served by the proposal?
This is one of those questions I answered before, right?
This is one of the questions, yes.
Pardon my delay.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, could you?
Sure, I would be happy to. Our ordinances generally don't read like natural language, so.
Yep.
What are the social, economic, or community needs which are served by the project?
The community needs that are served by the project, as far as what will it do for people, or the
So-
community of the business itself?
So social needs, economic needs, or community needs which are served by the proposal? So if
I
I were
apologize.
just because I understand that, we're going through an ordinance here and it's a little difficult. If I were to frame a response based on the materials that you submitted, I would say that we are serving the economic needs of the community by providing increased visibility and advertising for an ongoing business that provides employment and recreation for the community,
That sounds fantastic.
right?
Thank you.
So think about that as I ask.
Everybody would have said.
Yes, exactly.
Can I say ditto?
So there's a few more, so think about that as I ask these next questions. Are there any issues regarding traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading, that are created by the project?
No.
Okay. And I think
As far as safety goes, like we had said, this sign will actually be static, and it will be dimmer at night than the existing sign.
Okay. Are there adequate utilities and other public services for this project?
Yes.
Okay, so I assume there's existing electricity to the sign.
Yes.
Does this sign fit in with the neighborhood character and social structures?
I'd like to think it will. We're a very family-friendly business. It is fathers and sons, daughters and moms, everybody participating.
Are there any impacts on the natural environment, including drainage?
No, not at all.
Okay. And are there any fiscal impacts, including the impacts on city services, our tax base, or employment?
It would be beneficial employment-wise, hopefully.
So in other words, you would have an increased chance of having a good revenue from your ongoing business, supporting and potentially expanding the opportunities for employment.
Yes.
Okay. And then the overall criteria is this sign in the version you're presenting substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood or the city
No.
than the existing sign?
No.
Okay. And one of the reasons that you would probably cite is that it is, the lumens are lower in amount.
And it replaces a lot of posters, banners, plasters, cleaner.
Okay. So where it's a screen, there's no directed cast of the light, right? It's not directed downwards or
No.
anything, it just is.
Straight.
Yeah, but it also doesn't project upward and?
No.
Okay.
No, they actually have louvers so the light will not go up, and it blocks the sun to make it work during the day.
Wonderful. All right, so that is the special permit criteria. Unless somebody has another question, I'm going to move to deliberation. Did you have anything you wanted to say before I close the public hearing?
Not at all.
All right, then I'm going to close the public hearing without objection. And is there any board member discussion on whether or not to allow the special permit? Okay. Discussion, comment.
I have just
Poem.
one, and it's
Yeah.
really, and again, when I look at the signage, special permits, and we've had quite a few before us, it's just the visual or light impact on the neighbors. There are a lot of multifamilies in the neighborhood, and as long as we have some language that matches what the applicant had stated, that the sign is not going to be changing, it's just static, alphanumerical, I think it's good for adding some visibility. They are, as he had mentioned, they sit back off the road, so the sign's the best way to capture. He doesn't have a traditional storefront, So, and I also think that, with those conditions, we will hit the criteria under 181-333, 5362, and 942.
Thank you.
Commenting on what Mike said.
Go ahead.
I'd like a condition in there to say that the sign will not flash, will not rotate, make noise, move, or give the illusion of moving as a condition.
I think that's appropriate, and then a reference to section 181-5362, that no relief is granted from that prohibition,
Right.
which incorporates all the things that you had mentioned. For other conditions, I think that the sign shall be turned off between the hours of 9 p.m. and I would say 8 a.m., 7 a.m., some point at which during the daytime, the light, of course, does not have that much of an impact. I also, regarding the issue of flashing, I think setting out a standard that the static display shall not change in less than 15-second intervals, I think would be a good measurement. And I always think it's good to have a line against which to measure, are we within the condition or are we in violation? It's easier to comply if you know what you're complying with. But I'd take comment on the seconds if anyone thinks 15 is too short. And then the sign should be kept in good maintenance and repair. I have a vision of a static or cracked sign that I don't want to see. And so I would say just generally repair should be made within a reasonable period of time, or the display replaced when necessary. So that gives us the following conditions. Hours of operation, 7 a.m. through 9 p.m. Monday through Sunday. Number 2, the sign shall not flash, rotate, make noise, move, or give the illusion of moving, and no relief is granted herein from section 181.5362 of the zoning ordinance. Number 3, the static display shall not change in less than 15-second intervals. And number 4, the sign shall be kept in good maintenance and repair with the replacement of the screen as required. Any other conditions?
Just a little discussion on the duration time.
Yes.
Again, only thinking of the residents in the area. A lot of multifamilies across the street, a lot of them are kind of elevated to the height of the sign. And I just think of, peripheral distraction, right? If we're sitting here and there's a sign across the street and every 10 or 15 seconds it's changing, it's going to visually, we're going to pick up on that. And again, I just trying to listen to their feedback where they said it's going to be static, but just discussion for the board, that's all.
So my thoughts with regards to timing is it's beneficial to the owner to have a longer display period so that somebody driving by can see it and read it as they pass. It is a sign that is it is flat to the road going by. It is on edge to the apartments across the street. So that I think only the businesses or residences on the same side of the street will be affected by the actual flat view of the video screen, especially given that the lumens cast are downward. But I would think that going to 30 seconds would also be fine and would not be flashing. I would think that 60 seconds would also be fine and would not be flashing.
I just wanted to bring it up, get some feedback out of the board.
Does any board member? Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
I think we're getting a little too prescriptive. If the concern is about impact on the neighborhood, perhaps a review in a year would be appropriate.
So, Mr. Reynolds, I think, number one, I always appreciate your comments because they always provide a good point of view. For myself, I would disagree because I would like to provide a measurement to this applicant so that they understand what they need to do rather than saying reasonable or not flashing, because I think the term flashing is a bit subjective. So I would want to provide them with some measurement as long as it's this long between changes. It's not flashing. Any other board member comment on that? Mr. Gallagher first.
Yes, Madam Chair. I think we should consider if the sign was vandalized or damaged or perhaps even graffitied, a time frame to actually allow the applicant to fix it.
Okay. What would you propose?
72 hours, if that's possible.
Okay. Mr. Talbot?
I just want to talk about the duration. I know they don't have any intent on making it less than 15 seconds, but they should at least have the option. 15 seconds is not flashing, but I think that's a pretty good minimum.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Talbot. All right. I'd like to take a preliminary vote holding out the intervals for a separate vote as a condition. So I would like to have a motion for approval of the special permit with condition 1, hours of operation 8 a.m. to 9 p.m.
7 a.m.
Oh, 7 a.m. 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. Number 2, the sign to be kept in good maintenance and repair with replacement of the screen as required. All repairs to be performed within 72 hours. Number 3, the sign shall not flash, rotate, make noise, move, or give the illusion of moving except for indicators of time and temperature or barber poles. And no relief is granted from section 181.5362.
So moved.
Review date, 12 months.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's a bit unorthodox for us to make a vote and then talk about conditions after. We've typically worked through the conditions and then made the vote. I'm not really in favor of a review. We have too many reviews. I'd rather kind of put this to bed tonight and let the applicants go on their way.
Okay. Can I have an indication of, does anybody want to have a review? Okay. Then if there's an objection to holding out the conditions separately, then I'm going to add it in and we're going to vote on it with all the conditions that we proposed. So,
And let's just come to a conclusion on time change, whatever the board's consensus is, you know?
I'm still at 15. I don't object to 30, but I think 15 is a good measurement, so. Then the motion would be amended to strike the review and to add condition 4. The static video display shall not change in less than 15-second intervals. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? Special permit is granted, subject to conditions. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Very much.
You're welcome. Good luck with the project, and good luck with the business.
Have a good night.
Everyone.
Right. The next matter we're calling is ZBA 25-4, John Collins. This is for 39 Arlington Street. This is a continued hearing. This is appeal to overrule the building commissioner's February 6, 2025 zoning determination under section 181.92 of the Fitchburg zoning ordinance that the premises would be used as a boarding or lodging house, which use is prohibited in the residential B district under section 181.313A5, and which use was not disclosed on the form of intent proposal to continue the use as a single-family dwelling, requesting that the cease and desist order on the building permit B241328 be lifted. Applicant also requests a reasonable accommodation on the basis that the premises have a possibility of being operated as a sobriety house, so-called, for individuals in recovery from substance abuse who are therefore disabled individuals entitled to protection under state and federal law, and reasonable accommodation from zoning requirements, the premises being located in residential B district. Is the property owner or petitioner here? I actually believe I saw, might have someone online. Mr. Keiselbach, you are online, so I am going to unmute you. And, sir, you're welcome to speak.
So can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. No, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I think, as the board probably knows better than I do, the SJC came in with a ruling very much in favor of the city's interpretation with regards to sobriety houses, actually after I filed the appeal. And in light of that ruling, my situation or the situation around the house has changed a lot. And I'm no longer looking to put a sobriety house in there. My original thought was that this fell under a use by right with regard to a single family residence, but it's sort of a moot point as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not looking to do that. I'm just hoping to continue the renovations on what had been a long abandoned house, standard regular renovations. So I sort of started some back and forth with the building commissioner on this, but it was a fluid situation. I didn't want to stand anybody up at this meeting here. Wasn't sure exactly where it stood, so figured it was best for me to come in and say my 2 cents and try to figure it out from there.
Okay. So by that statement, do I understand you're withdrawing the appeal and you would like to work out the use with the building commissioner?
I would like to work out the use with the building commissioner. I mean, if the appeal is just limited to looking to have the stop order lifted, then I'm not looking to lift it. But if it's extended beyond that, then yes, I'm very much hoping I can just accept the city's interpretation of what needs to be done for a single family residence to be, continue to be work on and go from there. So I don't know 100% know how to answer that, which is why I'm here.
Okay. So if you are, the decision of the building commissioner, and I have to say, as I had read through your materials, I see that there are statements that you might use it, put it to a sobriety house use, but you might not put it to a sobriety house use. I'm just going to say that from the perspective of the city, and within that decision, whether the property is occupied by disabled individuals or non-disabled individuals, they are treated equally under the zoning ordinance. So the city's concern is the function of the operation. It is completely possible that disabled persons are living in a single-family home arrangement. It is also possible that they are living in a boarding house arrangement, and that is especially true when you have something that is 5 or more unrelated individuals, which under our zoning ordinance mean you don't have a single family. The traditional arrangement we see with a sobriety home is that there are individual rental arrangements with individual persons, and then we have a numeric issue as well of how many people are dwelling within the structure. I do encourage you, because I will tell you right now that the city welcomes renovation of derelict buildings. And the investment of money into taking a building from something that is not being used to something that is being used by somebody. So I think within the conflicts of the confines of those statements, your property did have a lot of bedrooms in it. I don't know if your intention is to renovate it, sell it, and use it as a single-family residence, or if you would look to have a multiple family residence. But I think if you're not putting forth an argument that you are entitled to reversal of the building commissioner's decision, which I understand in light of the new decision from the SJC, then you're looking at withdrawing the appeal and looking at another resolution on the use of the property. So I think that's something you need to analyze. I know that you had what I would consider very fine counsel involved with your case, and I would certainly consult with them on what an appropriate action would be from this point in time.
So all of that makes sense to me, and I'm happy to do that. My only concern is, my ability to, I don't foresee this needing to happen because I'm not foreseeing myself disagreeing with, the requirements that the commissioner puts around it. And but my ability to come in front of the board again in case there is some disagreement. I'm not, right, whether or not they're disabled or not, it doesn't influence my decision to rent or sell to them whatsoever. But I'm not looking to operate it as a sobriety house, and I understand the for unrelated person consideration, and I accept the court's rulings on all that. So I guess I just want to say, I just want to make sure that if some reason this goes sideways, and I don't see it doing that, that I have another right to come in front of here because the situation has changed. That's my only concern.
All right. I again refer you to your counsel for advice because I try to help, but I try not to advise people
Sure.
in this proceedings
Okay.
because that gets me into trouble.
Yep, I understand.
What I would say is that if there is a new form of intent issued, submitted in a decision issued by the building commissioner, you haven't submitted a special permit application, you haven't submitted a variance application, you've submitted an appeal of a decision made by the building commissioner that you are going to operate as a boarding house. If there is, we have a bar on reconsideration of an application for a special permit, an appeal, or a variance for 2 years if we take negative action on it, and the new proposal is the same as the one we saw before. So if you have no intention of operating a boarding house, then this seems like it would not matter to you.
I'm comfortable with that, so I think maybe the best thing for me to do is withdraw my appeal. I'm curious what the commissioner's thoughts are on this, but maybe now is not the right time to mention that at all. But I think withdrawing the appeal at this moment makes the most sense, and going back to the drawing board with him is probably the right approach.
Okay. So I'm going to note that you are in the RB district. Single and two families are allowed by right. A three-family requires a special permit from the planning board, not us. Mr. Commissioner, I'd love to have your comment on this.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I've been having some back and forth with Mr., and I apologize, I don't want to mess your name up, Mr.
Keiselbeck.
Since for about 2 weeks, a week and a half, on this topic. And what he wrote to me, which is why I'm not totally in support of withdrawal without prejudice, is he wrote to me, in light of the clarification from the SJC, if I were to commit to not allow more than 4 unrelated individuals to live at 39 Arlington Street, would you and the city be willing to lift the stop work order and reinstate the permit? I'm willing to put the commitment in writing if needed, and would also rescind the application to install the sprinkler. I'm hopeful that this commitment would put the project in line with the city's desire. If the stop work order were lifted under the conditions, under these conditions, it would fully withdraw my appeal in advance of the hearing instead of changing or going forward. And what I wrote back, because that just raised some red flags to me, what I wrote back is, hello, Dave, I'm tagging Christine Tree, chair of the board, on this thread as well. Although the lodging house is triggered, as you mentioned, by section 181.3214, although the lodging house is triggered, as you mentioned, by section 181.3214, limits the accessory use to a residential use for renting of rooms, which is where this would fall, to not more than 2 individual persons. That includes private and common bath, but no kitchen or cooking facilities. This may be worth a meeting with myself and Chair Tree, either by Zoom or in person. Please let me know what you prefer, and I'll attempt to coordinate with her and you. I also wrote to him, please let me know if you're planning to apply to the Board of Appeals for a reasonable accommodation. He said, he responded back saying, thank you for the message. We understand. We're happy to comply with that clarification. We do intend to rent or sell this as a single-family house and not by the room. We would like to meet either by Zoom or in person whenever works for you. Please suggest a day and time, hopefully in advance of the 24th meeting. We're hoping to resolve this issue fully using this house as a regular single family. Therefore, applying for reasonable accommodation would not be necessary.
Okay.
So it sounds like
the question about renting of rooms and that piece has been addressed. If the board chooses to grant him leave to withdraw without prejudice, and we have this in writing as part of the permit file and permit record, I can also make it a condition on the certificate of occupancy and rescind the stop work order.
Okay. So if the appeal is withdrawn, I think the conditioning that you're talking about would be more appropriate on the rescinding of the stop work order and the issuance of the building permit as stated. So.
I mean, I'm comfortable with that. I'm not sure why there'd be red flags. I'm not questioning that either. You know, it's sort of a confusing situation for me, and my understanding was the real question was how many residents, and I was saying yes, and then when he brought up the rooms, I simply said I understood and agreed, and I'm standing by that. So if there's some requirement in there that makes people comfortable, then so be it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anything else, Mr. Commissioner?
No, that's all. If I hadn't seen the message from yesterday on OpenGov, which is when he made that comment about that he's not going to be renting by rooms. So with that, I think I am comfortable with the rescinding of the stop work order and just putting a condition on the certificate of occupancy.
Great. And
it was all sort of lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you. Because we're at public hearing, I'm going to go to see if there's any public comment. Sir, please state your name and city of residence, and you're welcome to make comment to the board.
Good evening. My name is Peter Beardmore. I'm here with my wife, Lisa Beardmore. We live at 282 Pleasant Street in Lunenburg. We own 41 Arlington Street, which is directly adjacent to the property under discussion here tonight, about 15 feet to the left of 39 Arlington Street as you're looking at it. Lisa acquired the property in 2021 prior to our wedding. We have since retained all of the original tenants in that property, never any turnover. Our property is notably the residence of 6 children and an elderly couple. In the time we've owned the property, we have continued to reinvest in it to the tune of about $80,000 in envelope and internal systems upgrades. Due to confusion with your previous agenda, we inadvertently spent 2 hours at your last meeting a couple of weeks ago, which turned out to be somewhat fortuitous. First, we share and appreciate your personal investment in our community. We are like-minded. In addition to her investments in residential property, Lisa is also the general manager of the Fastener Division of Avery Dennison, which employs about 130 people here in Fitchburg. And if you check her out, she takes very good care of them and her community. I am also a volunteer public servant, serving on many boards and committees in Lunenburg in my capacity as a school committee member, former chairman of the Finance Committee, and a Zoning Board of Appeals associate member. These can be difficult and thankless jobs for no money. They're difficult when challenges arise from circumstances beyond the control of anyone in the room, and they're particularly frustrating when an actor appears to be gaining or shorting the system. There was a poignant moment a couple of weeks ago when I believe Mr. Burns used the word bamboozled to describe the actions of a prior owner of a property who'd run roughshod over the city, its officials, and the neighborhood for their own gain. Let me be clear. We are here to oppose a change in use of 39 Arlington Street as a boarding house or a sober living house, not for the least of which is that the zoning does not accommodate it. There are other places in Fitchburg that do. Arlington Street does not. There are parking and traffic discussions to be had. There's safety and well-being of the residents in adjacent residencies. But given the circumstances, I remain very confused about what we're actually here to discuss. The petition outlined in the agenda suggests that a bamboozling may be underway, one that is perhaps engineered to pave the way for a change in use, complete with a false sense of urgency for a project that is nearing completion under the tacit endorsement of the Zoning Board of Appeals due to accommodations for something that has yet to be formally proposed. The petitioner has asked that you lift an order and continue what is clearly was initially a dishonest permit application for an intended single-family use. But the same petition requests consideration for special status accommodations for a potential future use that is not the subject of any application. That stinks of bamboozlement. A change in use needs to follow the proper procedures that were just outlined by the chair. And as a stakeholder, I'm confused, very concerned that my interest and due process may be overrun or bypassed. In the interest of time, I won't burden you much more, but I would offer you a couple of options here. And I wrote this before the conversation that you all just had, but I do think that it's pertinent. First, I suggest that you compel the petitioner to request a withdrawal of his building permit and that you approve it without prejudice, allowing the petitioner to submit a new application that is not infected with what is demonstrably false intentions. Maybe with that approach, we can put us on a clearer path. Or option two, if you must lift the cease and desist to the current permit, please do so with the stipulation in your finding that you do not acknowledge any use other than the current single-family residence use, and that your deliberation does not include any special accommodation for the prospective other future use of the property. If you can do that, then the abutters can assure both you, the ZBA, and the petitioner that we will use every legal means available to prevent a change in use of this property, but through the appropriate due process and procedures outlined by the city. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment. Is there any other person here who would like to make a comment or ask a question? Sir, you're welcome to come. Please state your name and city of residence, and then you are welcome to speak.
Yes, good evening. My name is Patrick Gonyu. I live on School Street. I have to say thank you again for giving us this opportunity to speak here. I don't intend to be too long. I think the building commissioner and the predecessor, they actually spoke about what I was going to bring to the table. What I really wanted to emphasize from the beginning was the intent. It wasn't clear on the formal intent. My first, impression when I read, I wrote just the agenda for the meeting today was that probably there was a hidden agenda that did not want to be disclosed ahead of time. So thank you for those who brought that to the light. I'm not going to worry about that. I was coming because he intended to make it a what we call sobriety house, which is basically a recovering home for substance abuse people. I was concerned about the safety, the traffic in the area and all that. But again, I just want to let you know, my intention is that he withdraw the permit and just reapply for a new permit with a clear intention, and that again is being examined properly. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Is there any other person present here today who would like to make a comment or ask a question? Mr. Donnelly, please state your name.
Good evening and thank you. My name is Tom Donnelly. I have been observing this property for over 40 years. My passageway was from my in-laws on Main Street, up Chestnut Street. When I look to the left, I can see that house, and it's on my way home. So I've been observing it, was very pleasantly surprised to see it being done over, unpleasantly surprised to see what the individual may or may not want to do. And seeing people that come in with an application to make a single family, easy, clean cut, but when someone beats around the bush and you all wonder what the intent is and what legalese he's trying to do. So I support a single family home, but I do not support his other intentions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any other person here who would like to make a comment or ask a question on this matter? Seeing none, I am checking online, and other than Mr. Keiselbach, we don't have any other person. I am going to ask whether there's any other city department comment. Okay. So we have a comment from the Board of Health. A lodging or boarding house would not be a positive influence to this neighborhood. Okay. Thank you, Board of Health. Appreciate that. I am going to go to board members now for question, if anyone has one. Was there an audience member?
No, but I'd like to have his comments taken in and condition put on, as he mentioned. Okay?
So, Mr. Reynolds, any comment or question?
No, thank you.
Mr. Byrne, your comment was incorporation of the comments made.
Correct.
Mr. Talbot, any question or comment?
No.
Mr. Gallagher?
I do not.
Mr. McLaughlin?
I have a question for the applicant.
Mr. Keiselbach, you should be able to speak still.
I can hear him. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one question. Now that you've changed course with your intent, what will you actually be doing with the property? Will you be renting it to a single family? What's the exact intent, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 95% sure that I'll be looking just to sell it. There's a 5% chance that I'd be looking to rent it, but if I rent it, I'm not renting it as a sobriety house. I'm not renting it by the room. I would just be renting it to a family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Keiselbach, anything else before I close the hearing?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the hearing without objection. So we have had an applicant who has requested leave to withdraw the appeal and the request for reasonable accommodation. I had, again, a great concern about evaluating a request for reasonable accommodation based on a use that was not stated to be the definite use for the property. I think we would need to have an affirmative statement that it was to be used for disabled residents in order to have any basis for considering a request for reasonable accommodation. But for the city's purposes, I am always glad to have a clear withdrawal of a request for reasonable accommodation. So I would support granting leave to withdraw for that reason. The requests that were made regarding conditions on withdrawal of a building permit and reapplication, I think are beyond the powers of this board. That is within the purview of the building commissioner, not us. I don't think we have the authority to ask for that. But as a condition for granting leave to withdraw, I would certainly be willing to include a condition that the property owner shall seek resolution of the cease and desist order directly with the building commissioner, not to include use as a boarding or lodging house without appropriate relief from the city. And I'd ask for, go ahead, Mr. Byrne.
The applicant has plans submitted to the building department for renovations to the property. And the initial, from what I understand, the initial plans were submitted to possibly be a sober house, housing 13, 14 people. where there would be rooms rented out and things like that. I would like to have, or like to request that when they go to release his stop work, the building department find out exactly what is going to be done inside for the renovations to take place, to make sure that it's not still being done as a boarding house and not as a single family.
I think
Just like what happened down on Granite Street.
on Granite Street. I think it would be appropriate to frame that in a request to the building commissioner for, I think that's part of the inspection duties that they are obligated to do upon a completion of a construction project as well.
But I don't want it done on completion. I want it done before. I want a new plot, not a plot plan, but a new plan drawn for the interior of the apartment.
Commissioner has his hand up.
I think we're getting, I think we're getting into building code issues.
All right.
Mr. Commissioner, go ahead. You may speak.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. So I'm looking at the plans right now on OpenGov that were submitted, and they're submitted just like any other single-family house. And the application for this project was, just so that you know, bringing it up to code as needed, remodel, porch rebuild, repair siding as needed, replace exterior deck, kitchen, bathroom model, heavy cosmetic work. The permit application was not, and that's what started this whole process, it was not to convert it to a sober house or a lodging house. How this came about was that we received an additional application, application 25-104, from a sprinkler contractor to install an NFPA 13R sprinkler system. And in reviewing that application, it said as the description on the application, boarding house. And so that raised the red flag for me. First off, that they were applying for a sprinkler system in an existing single-family home, which is not unheard of, but very, very rare. But then when looking at the documentation for that sprinkler permit, it said it was a boarding house. So when I saw that, I immediately issued the cease and desist order on the building permit to renovate the house as a single-family house, which is what was permitted to begin with.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, that answers my question.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Commissioner. That answers my question.
Is there any other discussion? All right, then I'd be looking for a motion to grant leave to withdraw the appeal and the request for reasonable accommodation on condition that the applicant shall not use the property as a boarding or lodging house without required relief from the city.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right. Mr. Kaiserbach, thank you. The matter is withdrawn, and I wish you good luck in resolving the cease and desist and moving forward with the project.
Thank you.
All right. So we are now going to go to ZBA 25-6-05. This is AG Dream Flip LLC, Cosdy Realty LLC, 8385 Marshall Street. This is a request for modification of the existing special permit, ZBA 2022-05. And I believe this is actually the 25-6-05 that we're going to be modifying. Under Section 181.94 of the City of Fitchburg Code to construct 2 parking spots in a retaining wall structure as depicted on the original submitted and approved site plan on an abandoned and unbuilt private way, subject to operation of the derelict fee statute up to the center line of said private way at the property owner's own risk, located in Residential C. Welcome to the meeting.
Good evening. My name is Madeline Velasquez.
Thank you. and you're welcome to speak on the application, but I'm going to warn everybody, we're going to be going through some legalese here today.
Sure.
Madam Chair, just
Yes.
want to recognize that Mr. Gallagher did have to leave.
Very good.
Thank you.
I appreciate him staying as long as he did. So, go ahead, ma'am.
Hello. We are requesting the parking spots for the multi-unit we have on Marshall Street. And it was, when we purchased the property, the permits were also approved of the parking spots. And then it was interrupted because it turned out it's on a paper street that we were not aware of. And that's what brings us today.
Okay. So I do, and I'm going to mention these issues, but I'm just going to say that this is not the place to resolve them. I know that there have been some issues with the retaining walls being built to code, and I understand you are willing to resolve the problems.
Correct.
To make sure that the buildings, those walls are appropriately addressed or built to code.
Correct, yes.
And I also want to address the fact that the retaining wall next to the existing concrete stairway near the street has collapsed.
Yes, I was just...
Yeah, and that I am sure board members share my concern of that being a safety issue.
Correct.
And want to see that issue addressed as quickly as possible to make sure it's a busy street. I'm sure there might be children who are interested in going and playing in a construction site. Don't want them to be hurt.
Correct.
So, if you don't mind, I am going to talk for a bit because this is, this project has been before the city trying to get finished for at least 3 years. And you are newly the transferees of this special permit since January, I believe.
Yes.
But the board, and I'm sure the city, all would like to see the project finished. I'm sure that you would as well.
And the community.
Yes, yes. This plan, which was approved, and we're not proposing to change, depicted 2 parking streets next to the house on the same side of the street. And at least one, if not both of those spaces lies within the paper street that we were talking about. This is a situation that does arise from time to time. This is not a piece of property that was ever dedicated as a public way. So the city never laid it out, the city never took it. There was a subdivision plan dividing up this neighborhood from 1870, and it laid out streets, including the street called Beckwith Street, that were never built. You have a property that faces a steeply challenging topography. I cannot imagine anyone building that street at this point in time. There is no lot that requires that street for access to a public road. We have in Massachusetts something called the derelict fee statute. And the derelict fee statute states that if you have a subdivision plan and an unbuilt road, the abutters of that unbuilt road own the underlying land to the center line of the unbuilt road, subject to the right of any other property owner in the subdivision, or at least on that street, to pass and repass over the unbuilt street. And there is, of course, a possibility that through non-use and through your use, you may have acquired a right to the full ownership of up to half of the street abutting your property. This is something that is fully resolved by either getting the agreement of every property owner in the subdivision, which would be quite a task, or going to court, specifically land court, for an action to quiet title, both of which would cause great expense and delay were we to wait. In this case, in order to give an example of how these cases might be resolved within the city, because as I said, you're not the only one that has this issue, I have undertaken myself to perform the title search back to the original separation of the lot. And I am satisfied that within the chain of title, and I'll pass the chain of title around, that the original owner did not keep any rights to that paper street. Again, because I have searched all the way back. That is not something I am going to do on a regular basis for applicants before this. I'm just going to say that.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
But I did want to see if we could provide a model for resolving this issue. So the proposed model would be this. Any future applicants would need to provide a title certificate together with a title search, which is done by an attorney, certifying that the application of the derelict fee statute would apply in this case, in their opinion. Number two, there is no evidence of usage of the paper street within the 20-year period that would be, I lost my words tonight, Mr. Reynolds.
You can do it.
Come on, you know this one. Adverse possession. There we go. So that's the period of adverse possession. So number two is a showing that there's been no use of the paper street within the period of adverse possession of 20 years. Number three, there is no lot which requires use of the paper street to access the public road, which is the case here. And number four, that the property owners undertake construction at their risk, and that be acknowledged, which means that if someone does come and prove that they have a superior right to that paper street, that you would need to return to the board for a modification of the special permit. Okay? That is what I propose as a standard way to resolve this. But I do want you to understand what construction at risk means. It means if someone does come forward with either a right to the property or a right to use the public way, that you may have to tear down the structures that you built.
Correct.
Okay? But I am going to propose that in this case, this would be an appropriate way with some modified conditions to address the issue. Do you have any questions or comments about that?
Actually, no. We just want to, finish the project.
Yes.
You just want to
We're
build
like
the project
desperate to
and get to the
finish
end,
it.
yeah.
And the neighbors, they keep calling us. They're like, we were excited. What happened? So
that one more.
Okay. I am going to go to public comment.
Okay.
And then to city and board comment. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Is there any member of the public who would like to make a comment or ask a question on this case? Mr.
One more
Donnelly.
time, I'm Tom Donnelly. Some of you may know in the 70s into the 80s, I worked in every poor, congested neighborhood in the city, the High Street, Elm Street, Marshall Street, Davis Street. It was one of the neighborhoods. And as everybody knows, the big thing in Fitchburg is parking. I can see the amount of work that they've done on the house. I mean, it looks outstanding. And I've come across many of these paper streets all over these different kinds of neighborhoods and that were never built. And I want to applaud you, thank you. This has been an ongoing problem that I've seen for 50 years, and no one's ever addressed it, to my knowledge. So thank you very much, and an excellent explanation, and I hope we can continue in other parts of the city for that. So I applaud them for their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Donnelly. Is there any other person here who would like to make a comment or ask a question? I don't believe we have anybody online, but I'm going to check. No. Mr. Commissioner, before I go to the board members, did you have any comment on this?
No, I think this was a very above and beyond resolution that you did with this. And I know that we had many meetings, and you've invested a lot of time, as has Chantel Fleck, the principal planner, and Paula Karen, the chair of the planning board, really have invested a lot of time and effort behind the scenes to get to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Do we have another city? Okay. From the Planning Department, we have a comment that the Planning Division is in favor of this petition. Thank you, Planning Department. And then from Board of Health, no issues with this. So, thank you, Board of Health. I'm going to go to board comment. Mr. Reynolds.
No questions.
Okay. Mr. Byrne.
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Talbot.
No, thank you.
And I just want to note, Mr. Gallagher had to leave us, but I do appreciate him staying for the length of time he did tonight. Mr. McLaughlin.
Would love to see this project completed.
Yes.
I do just want clarification, because it's gone on so long that, we approved the parking across the street, but one of the most concerning things is obviously the retaining wall to the right of the stairs, which is supposed to be, it got skim coated, and a condition is that it gets replaced. And then the obvious side to the left, which doesn't exist anymore. Other than that, thank you for the investment.
Thank you. We appreciate everything. Thank you so much.
All right. So I am going to just note that there's no proposal to change any of the other existing conditions. And this decision would incorporate the existing site plan. I'm just going to remind you that you would need to build the walls to code and resolve that issue with the building commissioner. I also want to make sure you understand the city permitting you to proceed with this project on the paper street does not mean that the city has decided you are the owner, because the city doesn't have the authority to make that decision, only a court.
We understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
We understand.
So if there's some underlying fact that is means that there's another person in interest, this doesn't change that one way or the other.
All right.
Okay. Is there anything else before we close? Well, this is a modification. So I'm going to close the public hearing on the modification. There is still a review ongoing from the original special permit. Without objection. So I would propose, and I have worked on this language a bit. I'm open to comment on it. I would propose that we modify the existing special permit which currently goes through condition 14 with a number 15 review for December 9th, 2025, with the ability of the permit holder to request a sooner hearing if they've completed the project. That we add the following conditions as starting as number 16. The applicant has provided substantial evidence that it is the owner of the underlying fee interest in the public way, private way of unconstructed Beckwith Street due to operation of the derelict fee statute and the expiration of the period for adverse possession. Therefore, the owner applicant may choose to construct any parking or walls depicted on the approved plan which encroach within any right-of-way over Beckwith Street without legal extinguishment at their own risk. Owner applicant acknowledge that a private party entitled to pass and repass may compel removal of said structures. Number 17. If said parking or walls are affected by enforcement of any right to pass and repass over Beckwith Street, the applicant owner shall seek modification of the special permit and site plan as applicable. I think that's it. Any comment on those conditions?
No, I like that you, in your way, got the ownership issue risk in there. Thank you.
It has to stay at risk. Has to stay at risk.
And I think it's expressed.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comment? Then I'd like to entertain a motion for modification of the special permit as laid out.
I'll make the motion on the ZBA 25-6-05.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? All right. So the modification is granted. I do want to see especially that wall that is deteriorating really taken care of as soon as possible, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything's going to be
Good.
good.
Have a good night. Thank you. and
Thank you.
goodbye.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. So we are only running 9 minutes behind, which is fantastic. Does anyone need a break before the next matter is called? All right. Then we are going to call the last matter on the agenda tonight, ZBA 2023-08, Joanne Hamburg, 1341 Rindge Road. This is a review of the special permit under Section 181.94 of the Fitchburg zoning ordinance, issued after remand from the Worcester Superior Court zoning appeal, CA number 2385CV00600A, by consent of all parties and by order of the court, to the Board of Appeals dated September 27, 2023, pursuant to Section 181.332, located in the Rural Residential District, map MBL 69R. So as I said at the beginning of this meeting, we had received a communication yesterday from the owner that she would not be attending the meeting tonight. To summarize some of the actions that have gone on since the last meeting. At the last meeting, the owner made a request for the board to modify its conditions to allow a release of the last two certificates of occupancy, and brought the individuals those properties had been sold to before the board to testify. The board in general indicated that it continued to be concerned about project completion without an incentive for the project to be completed timely and to plan. An option was offered at the last meeting as something that I'm just going to reiterate, we did not take a formal vote. Board members indicated that they may be willing to consider releasing the certificates of occupancy in exchange for a performance bond, which Ms. Hamburg indicated she would be willing to consider, and there was a need for terms and amount. After a consult with the city's solicitor as to the requirements under the statute and appropriate calculation, both the engineering department and the building commissioner undertook to estimate the cost of completion of the work remaining and provided a bond amount to Ms. Hamburg, as well as a very bare outline of the terms for completion, release of the bond, claim of the bond in case the owner failed to complete the project. And last night, Ms. Hamburg indicated that she was not willing to substitute a performance bond, and instead she would complete the project and then seek release of the certificates of occupancy on the last two units to the current conditions. So I wanted to make that summary. Ms. Hamburg is not going to be here, of course, to make any comment on her part. Mr. Commissioner, I can see that you would like to make some comment. Let's do that, and then if anyone else here would like to make a comment or ask a question, we can go to that. Go ahead, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you for that summary update of where we are and kind of how we got here today. I just wanted to make a note that as of 5:30-ish p.m. today, Ms. Hamburg's husband, general contractor, has submitted a request for a excavation inspection for the recreation building. So it appears that they have completed the excavation. They're asking for an inspector to come out there and take a look at that excavation to make sure it's in that it meets code. And then the next step would be pouring the foundation for it and then setting the building.
Wonderful. I am very happy to hear progress on the project, and I wish them luck in a quick completion. All right, so I'm going to go at this time to anyone who would like to make a public comment or ask a question. You're welcome to approach the podium.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Ellen Mara Christian, 71 Bennett Road. I don't know if I have any questions, but I guess I have a comment, please. I was unable to be here in person at the last meeting, but I was listening virtually, and there was a letter that Chairperson Tree read out loud, and it was a letter to Ms. Hamburg, the owner of Woodland Estates, from Assistant City Engineer Ryan Killeen. I listened to it very carefully because it wasn't in front of me, and I wasn't sure what the letter was saying. I guess I wasn't really taking it that it was anything to do with the function of the culvert up by our end, and that's causing the water disturbance on our property. And maybe the letter was just presented to you that day, I'm not sure, so maybe people didn't have a chance to check to see what the purpose of it was. So I did a couple days later. So I checked in with the city. I did ask for a site visit on our property, and the Conservation Commission agent was unable to come, but Mr. Killeen did, Ryan Killeen did, and he came on Monday, April 14th. And I asked him outright, I just said, you know, Ryan, I just wanted to know what the letter meant. And he said it was just used, it was really just an observation of what was going on over there. It was not intended to either way decide if the culvert was functioning or not. So when I listened to the rest of your meeting, it sounded as if that you had voted on satisfying our condition number 10, which, as you know, is to making sure that the owner, I don't have it, let me see, I know I have it here somewhere. Make sure that the water is I have it right here, so that the drainage is diverted from the abutter's property per Dillis and Roy plan, dated August 23, and screening provided, both to be constructed and maintained pursuant to the requirements of the Conservation Commission, DPW, and DEP. So it sounded as if that you felt, I guess with the letter, that that condition was satisfied. So with all of these things that I had found out, for my own sake, I wanted to see if there was a plan there that I could look at just to see how that culvert was constructed and how it's tied into the stormwater management plan. I couldn't find anything on file. I found a Dillis and Roy engineered plan from August of 23 that shows the proposed 11 trailers, and then I found like a plot plan, or I think they called it a layout plan of the 7 that exist today. I couldn't find one specific to what exists today. But that doesn't matter to me. I just, for my own sake, but I did find out from Mr. Killeen yesterday when I spoke to him, it sounds as if they're going to ask for that new as-built plan from the owner and also do some testing to our culvert. Because when Mr. Killeen came to our property, he did state that the information about the letter was just purely an observation, but also that the culvert in that area has not been inspected, has not been looked at. We don't know if it works or not. So with all that in mind, if I could respectfully request that the board reconsiders the decision made on April 8th, 2025, satisfying condition number 10 due to the letter being perhaps misinterpreted and because the culvert and drainage system has not been inspected or tested. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other person here who would like to make a comment or ask a question? Okay. Mr. Commissioner, I'm going to ask you to respond to that, but I would just, before you do, insert my statement that absolutely I took that letter to be satisfied, in my vote on that. I absolutely took it to be that the conditions were satisfied, that the drainage was set. know that this had been, that you had brought this up, that there were still issues directly to the city engineer. I think these issues are, this issue is still before CONSCOM. CONSCOM has its own enforcement mechanisms. Clearly, this board is not a good judge of whether or not a drainage system is operating or not. We can only have observations of what we see and input from the engineer. I am hopeful because I know that there is supposed to be some testing done by the engineering department. That is planned. That this can be resolved informally without going back to readdress conditions. But for myself, I would need really clear, especially at this point, a really clear statement that the drainage has not been constructed per plan and that therefore the property owner is in violation, which I think needs to come from Mr. Colleen directly. Should that present itself before the board, then we can certainly look at it. But I do know that that issue is being pursued. Mr. Commissioner, would you have any other comment on that?
As the chair knows, I've been speaking quite extensively with Mr. Colleen and with Ms. Jamie, the conservation agent, about this. And what we've been able to identify is, Mr. Colleen said, the portion down the cul-de-sac, he has seen that that is working. There's only one portion, which is another section of the area of the complex, that he has not physically seen. And so he is trying to coordinate with Ms. Hamburg to get a water jet truck out there to do a dye test shortly on this issue so that he can give a complete answer about whether the drainage system is working or not. We have no evidence that it's not working, but we also don't know for certain that it is working. So as of right now, where the board has taken that letter, I think the recommendation, not the recommendation, the consensus of myself and the conservation agent was that until we have proof that it's not working, because the letter made it appear that it was operating, we don't have any source of action to make the recommendation to reconsider that condition yet, because all indications so far are that it is working. But that may change after the dye test, and we won't be making any recommendations for certificates of occupancy until we know the drainage system is working as well. So I think he's working with Ms. Hamburg to get that done in very short order.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Chair.
Go ahead, Mr. Byrne.
I think in order to, I want to say in order to put her foot to the fire, but I don't mean that. In order to be correct, I think that seeing that there's not been a complete inspection on this drainage system, that we rescind the motion that we made last month or earlier this month to number 10 and make sure that that's put back in the conditions again until we're sure that it's completed. Because I don't want to say that we rescind it and then the inspectors go out to look at it and everything else and they say, well, wait a minute, we don't need this. We've already been passed by the board. So I'd like to rescind it so that there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it and we can conduct our inspections properly.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a motion. Do I hear a second?
Would you like to make that as a motion to rescind? So I think we need to further discussion before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Reynolds, Any comment on that?
Are we at that section now? We're done with the public? Yes?
Yes, we are.
Just a question. Along the same spirit of just running through the conditions, number 15 has a date. I think we just want to affirm that it's still in progress.
Yes. So that deadline has been exceeded, and we have not modified the deadline.
Check. Just wanted to affirm. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go to Mr. Talbot first.
Questions? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, I wasn't at the last meeting. For the record, I read the minutes, and for the record, I read the letter regarding the catch basin. I agree with Mr. Byrne wholeheartedly that, as the commissioner just stated, there's no conclusive evidence either way. So I would respectfully ask as well that we either reinstate the condition or just make it known that we will discuss the condition again at the next meeting. And as you had mentioned, we're not the resident experts, but in order for us to strike it, we are asking for confirmation from a department that will, allow us to strike it or retain it. So I just want to, I don't mind if we just hold it till the next meeting, but I think we need to be clear that that letter is vague and it doesn't specifically say it's to the design standard that has been proven to work properly.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. I will make my comment on this. We had a vote, and the vote found the conditions satisfied. I am open if evidence is presented, and I think at this point, given that we have had observations and a letter from a city department that may not have, maybe it was intended to say it was satisfied, maybe it wasn't intended to say it was satisfied, but certainly there's some question now that is undergoing evaluation. I want to have a resolution of whether or not it works from Mr. Clean before I would be willing to vote in favor of finding that number 10 has not in fact been satisfied. I would want evidence to base a vote, reversing a final vote, and I would want that to be very strong because that is a very unusual action for a board to take. I am certainly open to it, but I do not see that the evidence we have at this point in time, because there is still testing undergoing, is sufficient for me to vote in favor of revocation.
Yeah, and that's why I just asked that we somewhat be conscious that, we don't have an answer either way from that department.
I would agree.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
So that if what I said was considered a motion, I withdraw it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Byrne.
I would suggest that we would have a finding of confirmation of the test.
Would, Mr. Reynolds, would you be willing to frame that in a request to the engineering department to confirm?
Exactly.
Okay.
And in that way, we don't have to undo what we've done. We're just looking to, based off of some evidence heard tonight, we're looking for concrete evidence.
And would other members be in favor of that? And then the other question I have is whether we should schedule a review on this matter. And how many matters do we have for May at this point? 6. I think having a scheduled review in June would allow for the time for testing and a response from the engineering department.
Perfect.
So then I'd be looking for a motion to continue the review to June 10th.
So moved.
With a request to the engineering department for confirmation on the functioning of and completion of inspection of the drainage system described in condition number 10.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None? All right. So, unless anyone has any miscellaneous business, I would be looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Yes, Mr. Byrne.
May I make a motion to adjourn and say, good night, Zonies?
Only if Mr. Talbot would second that?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is concluded. Have a great night, everybody.